where strategy gaming meets good vibes. No stress, just critical moves. Hello everyone, I'm Joe. Welcome to Critical Moves. I'm here with Adam and Tim. How are you, Adam?
I'm fine, thank you. And you?
I'm doing good. What about you, Tim? How are you?
Yeah, quite ready for this one. I'm excited actually about what's going to come from here.
Me too. What have you guys been playing lately?
Basically, I'm so into Beyond All Reason. It's kind of like, I don't know, I feel ashamed. I feel I shouldn't be doing it. Like when you are 16 and you're drinking alcohol, like you should do it, but you do it because your friends do it. That's what I feel.
Oh, like you were peer pressured into it and now you're addicted.
Man, this is such a good game. Like, I feel when I was in high school, I played video games, and I remember me playing until 2 a.m. and I do it right. Like these days, I have so much other things I need to do, and instead I do Beyond All Reason. Right? So I guess it's a good day.
Oh, put that on your trailer.
Yeah. Well, watch out, kids at home. This is what Beyond All Reason can do to you.
Exactly. I have so many other things I should be doing, but instead I'm playing Beyond All Reason.
Don't play this game, guys. don't do it to yourself.
I've been playing one of the games I'm going to be selling on, so I'm not even going to talk about it. What about you, Tim? What have you been playing?
I'm playing that same game.
Nice. Okay, let's just start then. Today we're going to be talking about games that will ruin your life. I have two. I don't even know how many Tim has, but I'll start, and I'm going to start with my one that will less ruin your life than the one who... The other one, like, there's movies about how it's ruined people's lives, and so we'll get to that one. Yeah, it's an evil game. But my first one is Tim and I have been tiptoeing, dancing around this game for a few podcasts now, here and there. It's Victoria 3. If you are a numbers guy or girl and you like maps and have an imagination, this game is for you. You can really turn any country into a powerhouse on this game, and there's stories to prove it. You just have to go look on the forums. Do you guys have any experience with Victoria 3?
It's a sort of game where if you like big number go up good, then that's your kind of game.
Yeah. What about you, Adam? Have you played it?
Yeah, I played it, and what I liked is the difference between the countries. Like, you can make your own changes. You can, achieve your own goals inside of the game, because basically there's kind of no goal in this game. Of course, to be the biggest country and so on.
Big numbers go up. That's the goal.
Yeah, that's the goal.
So, who do you play as, Adam? I know this is personal. I know.
It may be personal to you, but I've been playing, majority of games I've been playing as Japan, to be honest. Oh, because Japan starts...
I get that.
Yeah, it starts really low in technology and other stuff, and you can really make it work because it has all of the resources and so on and so forth. So you can, expand, make some tactics, and this country is also like really not so developed in this game, of course. I mean, the big thing is that you can start and learn this game. And basically, I learned this game by playing Japan, and then I played it again and again and trying the different tactics. And right now, this is like my, sweet spot.
I tried Japan once myself, but, I felt like once you start industrializing, Japan snowballs so hard that I was just as soon as I start winning, I lose interest. I'm only interested in the struggle on these games, apparently. So my two favorite games I've done so far were they're so obscure, is Haiti and Ethiopia.
Oh wow.
I like both of those countries. Wow. Haiti starts with, I don't know if you guys know your history, but France made Haiti
payments.
Make payments. Yeah. And so I love to start as Haiti and try to make friends with Great Britain and then tell France to fuck off. And one time though, I actually decided I'll see what happens when I pay them back. And I built up my industry, had taxes through the roof. I felt terrible. I was taxing grain. It was horrible. My people were miserable. But I paid France back, and then France was like, hey, do you want to have an alliance? And so I did it, and then they proceeded to just like follow me around winning wars for me, and it got super boring. Like I took over South Africa. I kicked a bunch of people out of Africa. I just went around winning all these wars and kept bringing France in. And the AI in this game is notorious for not helping. They're just for sitting there. But France was the opposite. They just kept coming to all my wars and winning them for me. And I ended up quitting that game super early because it got way too boring. Because I just was destroying everything with France's help.
So for those listening and wondering, like, okay, will this game ruin my life? A little quick overview of what Victoria 3 is, maybe, Joe.
Yeah. Okay, so it is a game about the Industrial Revolution, basically. And I think it's designed with you playing one of the bigger countries in mind. That's what they thought, was you would play England or France or Belgium or the United States or something like that. And you can, and it's fun that way. And you eventually build your country through the Industrial Revolution and maybe take over the world, maybe become an economic powerhouse, do whatever you want, right? I just like to take less powerful countries and try to make them powerful. Or I really like to take Afghanistan too. That's a fun one too.
So I know this is like a very recurring theme here, but what I like to do with Victoria 3 is I played multiplayer. So I find a bunch of friends and we play online, and that gives the whole game a completely different aspect to it, because you can play these big nations, and then a large amount of diplomacy is part of the game as well, and that's a lot of fun.
Do you guys ever do games where you play with smaller nations, or not really?
I think my first ever game I played was Argentina, which I think counts as a smaller nation, but
absolutely
more to the medium.
So next time you do a small one, have you heard of why you want to play Ethiopia, Tim? This is for anybody.
Nah.
Okay, Ethiopia, any country in Ethiopia, if you're the only one playing in that area, Harar is the best one, but any of those countries, if you start there, within a year or two, you'll get the Outlaw Prince event, and it's just this rebel prince wants to be king, and if you make him king, you can put him in charge of your army then, and he gets all these buffs, and he turns irregulars with 10 offense into irregulars with 50 offense, which is the equivalent of skirmishers, almost tanks.
Much later.
So
okay.
yeah. So, or not tank. It's like almost like World War I soldiers is what they turn into with his buffs, and so it's kind of like a small hack you can use on your multiplayer game if you want to, Tim.
Lovely. Now I've been playing Belgium actually, because it's a very interesting country for the industrialization part. Because they're actually quite advanced technology-wise, and they don't have this huge empire that they have to take care of. Also, it's interesting because it only has 2 provinces, so you get to play quite tall in the game while still being one of the advanced nations. I find Belgium to be really interesting to play in that time.
Belgium makes sense too, because you can really do whatever you want.
Yeah. But you have to play very diplomatic. You have to play diplomatic with the great powers, because you're quite vulnerable to all of them, actually.
Yeah. Who do you usually kiss up to? Whoever will take you?
So France is an important one, because you share land border with them, so they can invade you quite easily. And they get a claim later on your land. They get a core on your provinces, so they're really dangerous.
Do you feel this game, like the team behind the development of the game, is really like developing stuff and putting out DLCs, and the game is being like developed?
So they have improved a lot of things. They've added a lot of really good things, and I have high hopes for next month. There is going to be a big release with the trade rework, and I feel like that's a really good place where there's room for improvement. So I feel hopeful, and it has improved a lot, especially with performance. Performance used to be a big issue, and now it's not as much.
Yeah, I would agree. I would have said, if you would have asked me this question when the game came out, I would say, they're doing nothing but fixing the game. But now they've mostly fixed it, and now they're creating things.
Oh, and I also started playing a mod for Greece. So it's like a custom-made mod where you can play as the nation in Greece, and there's like tons and tons of events for you to form Byzantium, and there's like a whole new gameplay about the Orthodox Church and everything like that, and the events taking place around that time about a foreign king becoming leader of Greece and stuff like that. It's very detailed, and it's actually quite cool. And it's one of those tiny nations that's very vulnerable.
Yeah. I would also say, Adam, I remember you saying you like Fallen Enchantress, right?
Yeah.
So you are into fantasy type stuff sometimes?
Yeah.
There's a few fantasy mods now out that really can change the game.
Sure.
And then there's another big one called Anbenar that is really popular on EU4 that's going to be coming out soon for Victoria 3. That's a huge fantasy game with its own world. Like, Victoria 3, I think, is a game that really has a good future, especially with the new DLCs coming out. Now's a good time to get in.
So if you let it in, if you give it a try, if you install it on your computer and you launch it and you press new game, a very dangerous, dark game. Distant Worlds Universe. This is another one of these like grand strategy games. Have you guys played it or heard from it?
I bought it, installed it, hit new game. Started it up and was like, whoa, what is happening?
Yeah.
And I made it no further. And about twice a year, I install it and do the same thing. And one of these times, I'm going to do it. Tim's going to make a Let's Play for me to watch, and then I'll do it.
So it is intense. It's a huge game. It has a million elements. And I can convince you very easily with one simple fact, is that any one of those parts of the game, you have, the traditional like diplomacy, production, technology, and everything like that. Every single one of those things you can automate. So you can automate everything except one aspect that you're interested in, and then you focus on that one aspect. And then that makes the game much, much more accessible. But it is a huge game. It's really complex, and it will suck you dry of all energy to do anything else, because all your hours will just go into that. It's an empire management game. You play in a distant future, and you have all the classic 4X in there.
So what do you automate when you play then? Let's get the real question.
Nowadays, nothing anymore.
What a flex.
I do it all.
Whoa.
Well, no,
I'm such a good player.
Big brain.
I don't want to automate anything.
I have a vision of where I want to go, and the AI doesn't get me there. And then, because it can get really detailed, you can design your ships in a very specific way. And I think that's super cool that you don't have any limitations in how you build your ships other than a size. Your technology only allows you for a certain size. But you can build really weird ships that play really weirdly. And that's a lot of fun to test it out a bit. Like, how would it look if I build an army of these weird ships?
Is the space combat cool?
It is. So it is a 2D game. I think that's a nice thing, because there's a 3D Distant Worlds 2 out now, and I think it takes away from the game more than it gives. But The space combat is very cool because there's no rock, paper, scissor. Like Beyond All Reason, there's no special weapon modifiers or something like that. It's more like, oh, so you build a ship that is fast and short range. This way you can get quickly into the range of the long range ships. Because if you have a slow ship with a low range, well, it's not going to do much. So you have to think about this sort of stuff.
So is it a situation where if you play to the strategy you've built in your ships, you can be not quite unbeatable, but you can be really powerful if you're doing it right? Is that
exactly?
Well, I like
exactly.
that.
Yeah.
Because a game like Stellaris, and I hate to compare everything to a Paradox game, but Stellaris, I feel like their ship combat is you build it and then you just have to hope. I feel like there's so little control there, and that's a real weakness.
Yeah, and just look at a big number and Stellaris. If you have a big number, that's good, great.
Yeah, big number.
But it is comparable. It is comparable, I would say, to Stellaris, the same genre of games. And then when I did play Stellaris, I found myself a bit missing some of the Distant Worlds stuff. Yeah, that I enjoyed there. The technology tree is also quite interesting. You keep wanting to be like, oh, I can't wait until I have that research. This research. I really want this research because sometimes they're just like stat changes to the components of your ships, but you know what those components allow you to do because you've seen the combat. Like, oh yeah, if they could do this, that would be really nice.
You're like, nobody understands how important this 5% is. This is a big deal.
Yeah, and you're manually designing your ships as well. So like, I was trying to build this ship, but I didn't have enough space for that, and now it will be more efficient with the cargo, so I will be able to fit more of these thrusters in, like this kind of stuff,
Okay, so now I'm thinking about you trying to sell it to me. Is the like space exploration / colonization fleshed out well, or? Because that's always
you can play on very varied scales, and when you press start new game, you choose that whether you do like a very small scale, and then there's a very limited amount of stars, and then every star that you explore feels really meaningful, and like, what kind of world does this have? What is this volcanic world? And my race only tolerates like wet worlds like swamps and oceans. But we've subdued this other race that are basically our slaves, and now we're going to send them to this volcanic world to colonize and things like that. Or you can play on massive scales with thousands of stars, and then you kind of 5 new planets to colonize. We're building colony ships and we're sending them over there, and then your whole empire becomes like this huge web of colonies over like dozens and dozens of stars, and then just one more colony, more or less. It's just a number at this point.
Which is fun, but I get what you're saying, where it's like there's a lot of charm in the smaller ones where everything's more important.
Yeah, it's almost a different game that you're playing if you're playing a very big one or a small one. But it's one of those games that you'll be captivated for many hours before you get a real good hang of it. And once you get a good hang of it, there's a churn to play against like difficult opponents and get ahead. Yeah.
So I have a question, because you talked about a Distant Worlds universe. Am I right? Yes, and there's like Distant Wars 2, and why the second installment of the series is not the one that will ruin your life, but the universe that is like 10 years old already is the one?
It's much older even, I think. But yeah, no, I would personally recommend Distant Worlds universe. Maybe in some time Distant Worlds 2 will catch up, but basically... the second one is a smaller version, but in 3D, and they have implemented some good things in it. Some other things are broken at the moment. They are in the process of being fixed. They are in the process of adding some of the races that were already there in Distant World universe. So maybe with time it will change, but I feel like this switch to 3D ate up a huge portion of their budgets, and I don't think it was necessary. I was fine with the 2D, and so Distant Worlds Universe is like a more polished version, and Distant Worlds 2 is a 3D version that is not there yet, but might be at some point. All right, Joe, you have another game for us?
I do. Okay, my second one. This one is the real, I know, we've said this about all of them. This game will ruin your life, but you don't even have to look that hard to find stories of people being like, okay, this game ruined my life. Okay, the game is, I don't know, some people probably know, but it's Football Manager. Or Soccer Manager, as we would say in the United States. Not that we would, but yeah, it's Football Manager. It's a game where you build a career out of managing a football team. It's really just a fancy graphical interface for a spreadsheet that I find absolutely enthralling. And I will play it a lot. I will be doing my work, and I'll be working while the game plays itself. And I will be watching movies while I play the game. And have you guys have any experience with Football Manager?
So I never played the game. I've always heard about it. I'm not a fan of football at all, but I like the idea of fantasy football. Mm-hmm. And so I've been like cautiously curious about it for a long time now. Can you sell it to me?
Yeah, I think I can. So when I started playing it, I didn't even like football either. I just low-key watched it every now and then somewhere on Reddit, like Gaming Suggestion Reddit, somebody recommended it to somebody as a ruin your life type game. And so I found it on sale and bought it, and I found an article about how somebody took this little country called San Marino. You guys know San Marino?
Oh my god. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's in Italy.
This guy took San Marino, and he took control of this team doesn't even exist anymore, but he took control of a Class C team in San Marino.
Oh my god.
And
wow.
Yeah, but they're not in San Marino. They're in Italy. Like they were like a C2 at the time in Italy. They were the only San Marino team in Italy, and you could go up the ranks and get promoted, and that's what he did. And then he controlled the national team, and he was trying to make the national team good with players he had on the league team. And I was like, this sounds cool. So me being me, I just jumped in with that. I did that. I didn't start with a good team. I started with the worst team possible and had an absolute blast. And so now I do stuff like that on the game.
I have a question though. You got into the game. As far as I can hear, you weren't into the soccer before playing this game. Am I right?
I am now.
Football.
Yeah.
You are now, but before. Okay.
Yeah.
But before, you weren't. I'm a guy from Poland, so basically in Poland you should be into soccer, because if you are not Pole anymore. So
football.
That's the case.
Yeah. Tim keeps saying football.
I mean, you play with your foot and it's a ball. It's football, right?
It's fine.
So for me it isn't. It's like, you either play soccer or you are like a dead man who shouldn't live anymore, or and be.
Yeah, it's a part of manhood.
Yep. You're like, if you are a man, you should do it. Of course, I'm joking, but in terms of like the knowledge, I know a little bit about football. I cannot say I'm like huge fan of it, but I can say I can understand it. And I tried playing this game, and I tried it multiple times. I've never I've understood the core mechanics of it. So I have a question for you. How have you managed to do it?
So here's the thing about me. When I get into a game, I'm a researcher at heart. I get into a game and I figure a game out fast. I watch videos, I watch people play, I read articles about people playing, and so that's how I figured it out, is I just consumed so much of it. But I sort of, the first time I played, I sort of followed along with the story of what the guy who played did, because he wrote a story, sort of like an after action report of everything he did. So I tried to sign the same players. Of course, I couldn't sign the same players, but I tried. And so I went looking for people similar to who he signed. And then eventually I just figured it out, I just figured out more and more. And now, honestly, this is almost embarrassing. I almost like watching my little football player dudes play football more than real people play football. Like, it's like, okay, should I watch the Champions League or do I watch my team on Football Manager play in the Champions League?
So is it like Moneyball, the video game?
Yes. Yeah, okay. That's what I do. Not everybody does that. A lot of people have fun doing like, I'm going to be Manchester United and build them up. Or when the Saudis bought Newcastle, they wanted to play Newcastle, which for me is like, I never want to play Newcastle again. I don't want to play with the teams with money. I like to play. There's something you can do called the Journeyman Challenge, and I like to do that where I start with one badge because I think it's unrealistic to have no badges. Mm-hmm. So I start with one badge and load up a bunch of leagues and start unemployed, and then I just have my little guy apply all over the world. And wherever he gets hired, I start there, and then I just try to keep moving on and keep going to a better and better team.
Well, what's the game like? When you're busy playing the game, what's most of what you're doing basically like?
A lot of what you're doing is looking for good players, and then putting those players in position to succeed, and then sell them for a profit. And then by the time you sell them, you want to have already found their replacement, and ideally sign their replacement. That's the goal.
So you're looking for undervalued players.
Absolutely, you're looking in
okay.
Croatia, Poland, Serbia, Argentina, Colombia, places like that for good players that are undervalued. You're not buying anybody from England. No. Their salaries are way too high. Same with Brazil. You're going somewhere else.
So something that would make me want to play that game is something like The League, this TV show where they play fantasy football.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've watched that. That's
the
the sort of thing that makes me, I would like to play something because of what I've seen on this TV show.
Oh, yeah. So what you could do what would be the most fun is you take some league. You'd have to find a league that maybe like Scotland, right? Scotland has the big two. So you get 6 friends together and be everybody but the big two and see how you guys can do. And you guys can all play at the same time. Yeah, you can do that. I've never done it. I've heard it's buggy, but playable.
See, I'm a multiplayer kind of guy.
Yeah, you absolutely could do that. I think it lends itself well to that. Or, so you could do Scotland. The Premier League would be fine as long as you just said, and I would do nobody that's qualified for Europe because it's too easy then.
And then what, you barter with each other for players?
Probably not. You'd probably go looking. You would probably all be competing for the same good young players all over the world. Like you and, let's say the 3 of us are playing, right?
Yeah, you could trade like, this player for that player.
Certainly you could, but right now, let's say you have 5 other players you're playing with, right? You're just 5 teams. The game has 5,000 teams. You guys wouldn't be buying from each other probably, but you guys would be competing against each other for the computer's players. And it's complicated who they choose to sign with. They put a lot of work into that. And so you can't just be like, oh, Tim's going to get it because Tim offered the most money. They look at how good the squad is, what kind of tactic you use. Like the AI is very advanced. It's not great at everything, but it's good at that. Okay, let's move on. Tim, do you have another one for us?
I have. I don't know if you've played this one. This one is a bit more popular than the previous one, but still not that huge mainstream, I would say. Anno 1800. Have you played it?
I have not.
Okay, so every time, like the other has played it a little bit or doesn't know. All right. So Anno
Sell me on it.
1800
So
is...
I bought it
Yeah.
and have not installed
Oh.
it. I bought it on a cheap
Okay,
Steam
okay.
sale. So you tell me why I need to install it, Tim.
So you like Victoria 3.
I do.
It is the same timeline as Victoria 3. So you go through the same progress as well, technology-wise, which is, I think, a lot of very interesting timeline, you know. Eventually you have like the advent of electricity and everything, and that changes everything. Now, it's a similar game as Victoria 3, as in you have to manage production and economy thereof and the technological progress, but you're much more zoomed in. So you start on your homeland where you build individual buildings and like houses and everything, and you plan out your city. So it's a city builder mostly. If you've played something like SimCity or something like that, it is like that, but let's say in the 1800s. But then it gets a bit more complex with production chains. So you have to manage all the production chain from making wool to, you know, textile to making ship sails. And you have to manage your people, so your people get more and more needs, just like in Victoria 3, they start wanting beer and whatnot, and you have to provide that for them. And then at some point, you notice that on your starting area, there's not all the resources that you want. And this is where it gets really interesting, where you start exploring new places and you colonize new islands where they have new resources that you then want to bring back to your home territory. And at some point you start having tons of different islands, and you have to manage a huge logistical hub of trading ships going from one place to the next to move around all your goods. And then pirates come into play that you have to start defending your ships from them. And at this point you can start managing a very big empire, basically, of all moving little parts. And then sometimes something breaks, your ships get attacked and they sink, and then your delivery of rubber is delayed, and then your production chains halt down, and you have to crisis manage the whole situation, which I think can be really, really fun. And you start a game and you can easily go get lost for like 100 hours on just one game.
So it really is like Victoria 3 zoomed in, like you said.
Yeah, absolutely. It is, yeah.
Is there fighting? Like
There is.
Can you control them a little bit more than you could in like a Victoria 3?
Yeah, but they've made a change, and I don't dislike it, actually. They've moved all of the fighting purely on the seas. So there is no ground armies. Everyone starts on a big island, and you can try to conquer someone else's island by attacking the harbor with your ships. And if you've managed to destroy the harbor, then the island becomes yours.
That sounds cool. That makes sense, too, if you think about it. And now, are the maps...
are actually... Yeah, the ships are actually cool. And the ship fighting is cool. And there's like, for example, there's wind, and the wind's direction plays a big role. So if you're downwind or upwind, it makes a very big difference in the fights as well. It's really well done.
You know, the Victorian era naval fighting is something that, even though there's been more lately, there's still not enough of it, I feel like. So that's cool if they did it well. Sure. Are the maps unique or random each time, I guess, so to speak? Yeah,
and you have a say in how it will look. For example, if you want like lots of a few big islands with lots of resources, or a lot of small islands, so you'd have to do more island hopping. It is a game that requires a lot from your computer. It is graphically very beautiful, I would say. It is a really beautiful game, and you can zoom in and like you can see people walking around and everything, which I think is quite cool. But if you're having trouble running that, there's a new game in the series that's set to be released, so maybe don't look there either. Pax Romana, which is like
the newest
that
one.
game but in Roman
but
times.
still, it requires quite good PC right now. Like like
It
even
does,
now,
yeah.
because it's not an issue to start the game, because if you start the game, it works really well even on older PCs, like even on Steam Deck. I owned one, so that's why I'm talking about it. But like in the third or fourth era, because the gameplay is split to like 4 different runs, it got really really slow, and this is kind of an issue, I believe, because not a lot of people has a like beefy machine or something like that.
I wouldn't say I have a super beefy machine, but semi-modern one, and I don't have a problem with lag myself, but I do know that some people do.
I think a lot of these games are like that, right?
Actually, I played it. I played it on a ROG Ally, ROG Ally from Asus, and it played fine even in the late stage. It didn't have any lag.
Okay, I think you convinced me. I'm convinced. All right, guys.
I think we have a lot of potential here for life ruining
Yeah.
games.
You're welcome. All right, should we get out of here, guys? This has been Critical Moves. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Have a safe one.
Thank you, guys.